What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be installing a motor mount on the chassis, and picked up some angle iron from Lowe's to make the pedestals for the mount for the motor plate, and we're going to weld it to the chassis, and we're also going to make a trans mount. Alright, well, here it is. I pretty much just got it mocked up in here right now, like I said in the last video. So the motor plate's just supporting itself on the frame rail right now, but what I'm gonna do is I have some angle iron right here on my toolbox, and what I plan on doing is cutting it into two sections and then making them together into a box. And then what I'll do is I will weld the box. No, I'm gonna bolt the box to the frame. That way it's a lot more secure in it. No, I'll just weld it. I'm gonna weld the box to the frame really good, and then we're gonna bolt the motor plate to the box. And then I'm gonna take the motor back out here in a second, take the torque converter out of the transmission and bolt it to the motor, and then we're gonna put it back in the car. I'm gonna use a jack to support the transmission, and I'm gonna build a trans mount with a piece of flat stock that I have for it also. So pretty much this is going to be what the trans mount is going to be made out of. So let me go ahead and get the intake manifold on, get the chain back on the motor, get it up, or I'll see if I can get John's lift plate, get the motor back up, and get it back out of the car and bolt the transmission up to it. Alright guys, so I got the trans in the car. I had to take the subframe connector that's over there on the floor out to get it in there and lower the subframe, because the oil pan is kind of low. Well, it's not low, but it has to creep over the steering rack in order to get there, because the trans tunnel is still untouched. I did like hit it a little bit, but I didn't want to deform it to make it look ugly, so I just like hit it a little bit up here. So with the motor's gonna come up another inch or half an inch, so that should give my crank center line. Right now it's at 14 3/4 with the pan sitting on the subframe, so when I bring it up an inch it'll be 15 3/4. And even with it still like that, I still have plenty of room to get the trans out of the car without having to like drop the motor or take the motor and the trans out like I used to have to when it was a manual. So I just need to unbolt it, and then it'll slide back a couple inches and then come down. That's the great thing about automatics. So what I'm going to do now is going to take some measurements from the edge of the block. Yes, the edge of the block from here to the frame rail and here to the frame rail, trying to square it up to get 14 and a half inches would be from the center of the crank to here. Well, 14 3/4 would be from the crank to here. So I have to split the difference and just basically get it even between the frame rails, so it's even with the drivetrain. So I'm pretty sure it's even at this time right now just by eyeballing it, but I'm gonna just double check the measurements. Really?
Hit him with it. It's your channel. What are you doing?
I'm drilling holes for a motor plate.
Be more in depth. Be more descriptive. Paint them the full picture. What all are you doing? What's the setup? What's the setup?
What do you mean, what's the setup? Everybody knows the setup.
What are you doing?
I'm drilling holes for a motor plate. I'm trying to mock up a motor plate.
Who are you?
Practice right now. What am I? I'm black belt.
Black belt.
Yeah.
There you go.
I already started an intro.
Okay.
Is this the black belt car? Give us some description on it. Does it have a turbo? Is it pro charged?
They know all that.
They know all that.
Is it a nitrous car?
I tell you what they don't know is about those new exhausts.
Yeah, did you talk about those yet?
Yeah, I already talked about those.
Oh, you did?
Did you talk about the payment plan you're on for them? With 6 easy payments of jerk chicken.
So haven't been filming much, but pretty much got the angle iron set up. I just got to burn it in with the welder. It's kind of dark, you really can't see. Got the angle iron burnt in. It's tacked up right now. I'm just gonna have to cut this piece right here so it clears the manifold, and on the other side I'm gonna have to drill a hole with a 3-inch hole saw or 4-inch hole saw to clear the other manifold. Well, the other manifold pretty much sits behind it, and the V-band clamp will be it, but the pipe needs to go through it still. So that's step is just finish welding around the angle iron that's in there, and then I need to drill 2 more holes. I need to trim this piece out here to clear the manifold like I said before, and then I'm just gonna let the motor hang on the plate and drill the hole bigger so I can put bigger bolts in it. And then I need to brace that one over there too, so that when the motor torques that it doesn't rip that plate out, because it's pretty much, I cut a lot of the support out of it. Alright guys, so I don't know how good the audio quality is going to be on the rest of this video, but for the first portion it should be good. I'm recording back on my phone again. So you can see I got the motor mount, the motor plate in. It's all secured now. I've welded up the tabs. I got the down and forward manifolds on there that I got from Chris on the car. I just need to get, that's what I should have got while I was on lunch, but I just need to get a 4-inch hole saw. I use a 5-inch on this side so I can clear this little intrusion on the manifold right here. And on this side, I just need to get another hole saw, a smaller one, so I don't take a lot of material out of the plate, and just cut a small section out of that so I can get the V-band on and the part that's going to go to the pipe. And I also made a the cross member mount. I got that up there. It's all secure. I'm just gonna put some more bracing on it because the material is kind of thin and long. So when I push the motor up, it still has some deflection in it, and I really don't want that. I want it as solid mounted as possible. So I'm gonna put some more material, brace it from here to there, and basically try to fill this spot in with material just to try to get some deflection out of it. More deflection out of it, I should say. But pretty much it's a solid design. Yeah, I've got as much done on the car as possible as I can today. What I'm probably going to work on next week is getting the motor back out of the car and start to fill up some of these spaces where I have gaps in it, so I can get the engine bay prepped for paint and fill up some of these holes that I have from the spot welds that I drilled out. And I'm also going to paint the motor plate black, just so that everything flows too, because unsure at this point in time what color I'm going to paint the engine bay, because like I said, the car is going to be wrapped rose gold. So I might just do a black bay just to keep it simple, or I might just polish this plate, but it kind of seems redundant when I'm going to be touching it a lot. So I'm not sure as far as what color I'm going to do with the bay. I think I'm just going to do everything black. The manifold is going to be black. The charge piping is going to be, I'm going to polish that. Have something on here that is at least polished. And I also need to get rid of this excess plate from right here, so that when we do plate this piece right here for the front end, that's not in the way. Also, on my chassis frame connector, I need to get this cleaned up also. I just need to finish cutting out this, well, I just need to clean up this section right here. I need to weld a brace on top and bottom from here to here and here to here, so that it has some structural rigidity still. But as far as, I'm going to show you another major change that I noticed with the car ever since I moved the motor back. Before, I'll see if I could try to find a static picture that I have of the car on the ground when the turbo kit was complete before, and see if I can show you guys a comparison of what the car is, what the ride height is now and what the ride height was before. But it's completely different now. It had a lot of weight on the nose before, and now it's on stock front struts and springs, and the car used to sit really low, like it was on lower suspension. Now it sits like a factory car with no motor in it. So I know as I go along and I actually build the turbo kit, put the radiator in here, the intake manifold, add maybe like 100 more pounds to the front end of the car, or another 150 pounds to the front end of the car, that is gonna sag some more. So I'll try to figure out how to simulate that weight. Right now my center line my crank center line is 15 inches. So if I can get it lowered, I believe about 4 inches, I'll take 4 more inches out of the actual suspension drop. It should be a whole lot better after that. So yeah, with the motor moved back, this is where the ride height in the front is now. The back normally settles down some more after the suspension settles, but even still, like its normal ride height is probably gonna be like half an inch lower than that once I do the full coilover setup. But yeah, more than happy with the way it's set up right now, compared to how it was when it was on the motor mounts. This is the ideal engine placement that I wanted when I first put this setup together, and I finally have it now. So like I said before, gonna take the motor back out and prep the engine bay to get painted. Probably gonna wait on painting it until we actually build the front end. That's why, that way I can paint it all at one time. But yeah, everything's coming together slowly but surely. I'm hoping to have the car ready to race by April. I still have to finish my wiring, which I'll probably try to get a good bit of it done this weekend. I have pretty much everything that I need except for the turbo and I think a V-band to build the turbo kit. So I'm gonna actually wait to build a turbo kit until until I get the tubular support done. That way I know where I want to hang it at and how I want to support it off the tubular support. But yeah, it's pretty much wraps up the G for this week. You guys will just comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'd like to have more of a following with the car. I'm doing things with the chassis, like I said, that nobody's done before. I think this is probably like the first G or Z chassis that's been motor plated ever in the history. So it's kind of cool that I'm doing it. It's a learning experience for me to do it, and it's turning out to be pretty fun.